Hi, my name is Fortsues. I make YouTube videos in India. I thought it'd be fun to do a kind of cross-cultural analysis of The Force Awakens. Being that in India it was pushed back a week, so Star Wars nerds in India had to wait a week because of two big budget Bollywood films that released last week, so there's a scheduling conflict. And when I do my Bollywood reviews over here, I do them on the basis of a genre film rating system. So I try to be as objective as possible. Nobody's going to be 100% objective, but I take the genre goal of the film and I say, did the film succeed at that genre goal? Give it a star rating on that basis. And then at the end, I give an emoticon rating using my patented emoticonometer. So The Force Awakens is the Star Wars we deserve, but not the one we need. So this, of course, taken from The Dark Knight. I'm not the only one who's thought of that way of describing Star Wars, reverse of the way it's described Batman with Gotham. I do want to mention the other guy that I found that has said the exact same thing about The Force Awakens, and his blog is linked below, and he has I think it's a great analysis of The Force Awakens, so check it out. I really resonated with what he said. The genre of Star Wars, of course, is a sci-fi fantasy adventure, and on that basis, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. When I'm comparing it to films of a similar genre or with similar genre goals, I would put it above Independence Day, below Serenity, and on par with Ender's Game. Now, as to why I think that it can be on par with Ender's Game, which is an inferior movie in many aspects, not my favorite adaptation ever. I love that book, but there is a reason why I'm willing to put Ender's Game that high, because of certain things that I feel like that Star Wars misses, and we'll get to that in a minute. First, areas of strength. Everything feels right. You know, when we watched 1 through 3, we just did not feel like, most of us just did not feel like this is Star Wars. You know, everything feels very Star Wars here. The production design, just the openness of the screen where you can actually see everything and there's not a billion CG things flying in front of your face. Just the campiness, there's a certain level of camp that goes along with it. There's grit, it's not too polished. Like, it feels kind of hacked. You know, like that was the original, felt hacked, it felt very earthy, you know? So I feel a lot of that is done very well in this new one. The 2 new leads I really like. When Lucas wrote the original, one of the drafts, there was a person of color in the lead, and another draft, Luke was a female, so we finally get that. They're probably my favorite part of the film. They're great quotable moments, you know, that was one of the great things about Star Wars, and it feels really fun and campy, and we're gonna be quoting these at Comic Cons and cosplay competitions for years to come, I feel like. Comes to areas of improvement. I feel like everything's a bit too convenient and too calculated. Like, it's like they reverse engineered, we want it to feel like Star Wars, how do we get there? In a way, it's almost like an alternate timeline version of Star Wars. That's kind of what J.J. Abrams did with Star Trek, except it's not an alternate timeline. It's just like, oh, you know, and I think the reason that they said they could get away with that is because it's Star Wars and the Force, and you know, the cycle is being complete again. And I mean, if I know, but like, is this going to be a cycle that just continues on and on forever? Some of it just feels a little too convenient. The way we got into these very analogous scenes and analogous character situations, like how the characters got to where they were, which is the problem. There is holes in plot and character. When Leia finally shows up and speaks to Han, like there's just all backstory exposition. It's just like, oh, I did this and I did this and I did this, and yeah, you were always this. And it's like, it felt like Marion and Indy meeting in Kingdom of the Crystal Soul, which is not what you want to be doing. It's just a way too much of a like greatest hits moment that just, it did not work for me. And that's when I started analyzing some of this other stuff. Like, that's kind of when I was just really happy to see Han on screen again, and Harrison Ford is doing great. And then all of a sudden it's just kind of like, oh yeah, oh, now I'm looking around and I'm starting to see the seams between the film. Okay, so it leads me back to my main problem with this film, and we're gonna get into some spoilers here, so brace yourself.
I always knew it. I always knew that they were going to reveal the ultimate source of the dark side. And so, like, everyone else was shocked when it happened. They were all like, whoa, no, I can't believe it. It was him all along. It's like, whatever. I always knew it was Salacious B. Crumb. It was Salacious B. Crumb all along.
Chewie went to the dark side. I can't believe it.
That was almost jumping the shark. Not quite as much jumping the shark as C-3PO transformed into a TIE fighter.
I mean,
A
what?
golden TIE fighter?
No.
Come on. And then when Captain America showed up, I mean, come on. That's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Now, I did think it was a pretty good political commentary that he showed up with the Empire. I mean, That's really pointed commentary there, JJ. I don't know if you want to go there.
I think it's like going a little too far when they included time travel and then Yoda and Kylo Ren were in like the same scene and Kylo Ren's like, Yoda, I'm father. Yeah, no.
Yeah. No, come
No,
on.
come on.
And then Doctor Who showing up. Like,
I know!
what is this? I mean, how many
Yeah,
universes
and
can you
it's a
mix?
terrible fez.
It was a terrible fez. It was a really bad fez. Now, you know what else annoyed me? It was when the Sarlacc pit actually came out of the ground and had that dance with Jabba's wife. Like, that was just...
Oh, no, yeah.
How can you do that? How does Jabba even have a wife?
Yeah.
And how does the Sarlacc pig have legs?
Before we get to my final problem with the film, let's hear from some people from around the world what they've thought of The Force Awakens.
So for real reactions, what did you think of the movie?
Amazing.
If you're giving it a star rating.
Amazing.
Star rating. What's your star rating?
4.5 out of 5.
4.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
All right. Your star rating?
4.
4. Oh, okay. Where does the missing star go? What didn't work for you?
I generally don't get 5. I think it will be 4.
Yeah, it's got to be perfect, pretty much, for you to get 5. So, did you have a hard time following it, never having seen Star Wars before?
Yeah, some parts were like, okay, why is he doing this and all that stuff. Like, I wouldn't say anything because that would be a spoiler. So, I couldn't connect all of the things, so it took me some time to, get along. But overall, yeah, 4 out of 5.
All right, and you saw Star Wars, what, episodes 3 through...
Yesterday, I binge watched the whole, the last 3 movies, that's 4, 5, and 6. So, moreover, but one thing that I do like about it is that if you really haven't seen Star Wars a lot, you really can come here and enjoy it. And after this, maybe you can go back to the earlier movies because, well, it's in itself, it's a pretty amazing movie. Yeah, just give it somewhere around like a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Would you pick this over Dilwale and Bajirao Mastani?
Any day. Like, seriously, any day.
All right. Oh, what about, so Vipul, what about you? Would you pick this over Bajirao Mastani and Dilwale?
Any day. I can watch this again.
Yes!
Yay.
Oh, so what do you give?
YouTuber.
What do you give Star Wars?
You're talking about which movie?
Yeah, Star Wars? Yeah.
Loved it.
How many out of 5 stars?
5.
5 out of 5.
5.
Do you pick this over Bajirao Mastani and Dilwale?
Obviously. Any day, man. Any day. Any freaking day.
I think that's pretty much the consensus. This film is very well loved. I understand that. You're about to hear the film nerd cross-cultural critique from a total nerd. So, take it or leave it. My issues with the film. So here's the film nerd problems. When George Lucas made the original Star Wars, he did so for numerous reasons. He loved Flash Gordon as a kid, right? He wanted his whole life to adapt Flash Gordon. It's the same thing I would love to do one day with Final Fantasy VI, aka Final Fantasy III for those of us in the US. It's like bottling that feeling up and then putting it into a new format for a new generation. And that's exactly what Lucas did with Star Wars. But he did more than that because he improved on the source material. The reason why I put Serenity above The Force Awakens is because it is a new myth. Like it riffs off of certain expectations from Star Wars. You've got the lovable rogue smuggler, but it takes it new directions and it actually makes some political commentary. And people say, oh, it's political commentary. Why are you even talking about that? It's a sci-fi movie. That's what sci-fi is, okay? I mean, that's what sci-fi is at its core. It's our modern myth. And when you go back and look at original myths, when you go back and look Greek and Roman myths, they're not stupid. I mean, they're talking about serious issues. They're analyzing human evil. They're analyzing fate. They're taking hard looks at things and taking hard questions and trying to find some answers through them. It's not just pure catharsis. It is ideological soul searching. And Star Wars was. Lucas is taking different myths from around the world and different philosophies and different religious beliefs from around the world, and he's putting them together. Western philosophy, he's taking Eastern philosophy, and he's kind of making this new thing. Star Wars is not just Buddhism, and it's certainly not just Western. It's this interesting clash and mix of cultures. I'm not convinced Abrams is doing that at all. I think he's just giving us a summer blockbuster. And I feel this problem again and again with Abrams is that he gives us trappings of it, and all of it feels right, but really at its core, there's something lacking. So I think we need a new myth. I think we need a Star Wars adapted by someone who has a has a different way of looking at things. And really, this whole light dark thing, if we're just going to talk of it in terms of like, it's all light or it's all dark, where does, like when you make a movie, it's not all light. We're not just looking at a white screen, or a yellow screen. We're looking at shade. We're looking at nuances of color. You can't have that without darkness. What is the myth that we need in our day and age? Well, I think they're being told all over the place. I think they're being told on TV really well. I think they're being told in different film industries around the world. If you're saying, well, Ford, what would be better than The Force Awakens? Well, I'd say Miyazaki films, How to Train Your Dragon. I'd say a lot of Pixar movies. I think of The Castle in the Sky. I went back and watched that. First time I'd seen that. Like, it's amazing. It's adventure, it's action, it's fun. This is a huge privilege, what we have on the silver screen. And I think one of our biggest dangers is that we just look at it as a consumable enterprise, like just something to eat. It's just something to satiate us so that we can get to the next one. And we've got non-stop flow of next ones coming up. And they are restricting our ability to think of new things. The reason why we have Star Wars is because Lucas let Flash Gordon go so he could give us Star Wars. And how many people we're just going to sit there and imbibe on Star Wars and all of Marvel and DC and not create new things? I want new Serenities. I want new Miyazakis. I want new How to Train Your Dragons. I want new Pixar films that aren't like 85 sequels. There's just a new frontier of stories that we can be telling with this incredible tool of motion pictures. Star Wars The Force Awakens is a bit cynical. Here, this is what you deserve. I really feel like it's not what we need. There are new stories to be told. That's why it just gets a meh for me. When I compare it to the other two films, I thought for sure I would say, oh, without question, Star Wars is the best of these three movies to the two Bollywood films that was competing with here in India. I do like it better than the other two. Yeah, but it's still a meh for me. It's more of the same. I can't believe I'm saying that. I guess, Lucas, you were right all along. Like, I can't believe that. I'd prefer just to go watch one. No, I can't say that. We need a third path between episodes 1 through 3 and what we're getting in 4. Now, I'm not writing off the other two. I mean, hey, this could have been worse. It could have been The Hobbit for me, but it's still just, as far as an adaptation, even though Ender's Game did not hit it out of the park, even though Ender's Game just fell short and it was too short, needed to be longer, it is saying something. It has a real cross-cultural message that needs to be heard, that the other is not what you think it is. Like, bad guys are not just the dark side. There's a reason people go bad, and we need to try to understand that. And I feel like Star Wars is just too set in its ways to be able to give us that nuance anymore. And I feel like we need new stories to do it. The thrill is gone for me. I'm ready for something new. So that is my take on Star Wars The Force Awakens. What are your thoughts? And leave them in the comments below. Until next time, keep it creative, keep it cross-cultural, and keep it constructive, YouTube. Thank you very much.